welcome you to the 2019 edition of the Human Resource Expo Africa HREA Summit. This year's theme is the art of employee safety.
For a few people who have been places where I've spoken, I don't use slides so that we can move away our attention and focus from the slides to the conversations we're having. So I'm saying that we're having conversations. I have not come with a bag of tricks to tell you what to do around employee experience. They're probably not new things that you've not heard before, but we might be able to place them within new contexts. Old things, new context, and please, I'll be happy to learn from you as well. Okay, it's sort of background. I'm sort of nomadic with my career. I'm on my 10th job right now, and I always say, if anybody knows anybody at Chevron, my CV is with me in the car for the next job. I'm looking for the next employee experience, and I've not done oil and gas before, so it would be nice to end up my career at Chevron. I hear that they give them good packages at exit. So that's by way of current job. I've been in banking, I've done telco, I've done consulting, and I've done sales before, I've done marketing, and then I settled for HR. I'm not sure why I'm still in HR, but it's been fun. And I think that the men are in danger within the space of HR these days. In this entire space, I count only 4 men. We're in trouble. You ladies have taken over our profession. We started, but you've taken over. Now, how many guys are here? About 4 or 5 again. What's going on? I need to go and recruit more men into HR. They need to come and have that experience. So let me start by saying, who owns employee experience? Who owns it? In any organization, who owns employee experience? Where do you think employee experience sits or should sit? Anybody? We're having conversations. I'm not teaching. I'm not giving you anything. Who should own employee experience? Everybody? She says everybody. Management should own employee experience. So I hear everybody, I hear management. Say that again. I can't hear you. Human resources. Exactly, that's where I'm going. So we've got 3 options now. Any additional 4, and then we can take a vote. The manager, the line manager. So we've got leadership, we've got HR, line manager, and we've got, what was the last one? Everybody. So where should employee experience sit? HR, let me see your hands. Employee experience. 3 people, 4, 5. Line manager. 2, 3. Everybody. And the last one is what? Leadership. So who owns the leadership? Looks like everybody is winning. And that means nobody is winning, because no one is going to take ownership. But the first thing I want to debunk, as an HR person for about, how many years now? Since 1999, employee experience does not sit with HR. We need to know that quickly now. You know, there is this thing about HR loving power. We love to be called the hiring and firing department. But that's actually not what we do. The person who hires into the business is not HR. The person who fires is not HR. We need to know what our responsibilities are. And designing employee experience might be in the space of HR, but complete ownership of that end-to-end experience sits with line managers. You don't agree, or you agree? It sits with line managers. Our job, however, is to handhold line managers and leadership and everybody to make sure that they are on the right path in terms of employee experience. And where does employee experience, where does it start from? Where does it start from? From the point the individual joins the organization? Absolutely not. Before the individual joins the organization, the experience starts. So if you come into my office for the final interview for a role in HR, because if it's a role in another department that is not HR, I will not be sitting in that interview panel if it's the final interview, because the line manager who has the responsibility for the role should be doing the final interview. But if you come into my office and you're doing the final interview for a role in my team, and then on your way out you tell me that I smell nice, and I tell you that what sort of crap are you telling me, the employee experience starts from there. At that point, we call it candidate experience, right? Because the individual has not joined the organization. But the experience starts from there. 3-4 weeks ago, our head of, you can quote me to him, I mean, we are friends, head of technology and digital transformation, was supposed to see a candidate. After 45 minutes, somebody in my team came to tell me that Victor was not available. I gave him another 15 minutes. And I said, go check him if he's available now. He still wasn't available. I called the candidate into my office, and I apologized. And I told him to please go back to his office, and that the next interview will be at his instance. He will determine when next we will interview him, when it will be convenient with him. Because we were going to leave him with a bad candidate experience. That's where it starts from, before the individual joins the organization. And the ownership of the process should be line managers, but designing that process is HR. HR has a huge responsibility to play, and I'm not passing the buck to everybody or to nobody or to line managers, but don't forget that the moment the individual finishes with HR, who are they going to be reporting to on an 8 to 5 basis? The line manager. Just before I came here, I was having a conversation with the DMD in my office, and something was taken out of my KPI for 2019, and that is talent management and talent retention. I've argued for the last 1 year that it is not my KPI. Nobody was listening to me. Just this afternoon, before I came here, there was a light bulb in the head of my DMD, and he says that's not the problem of HR. Because how do I sit at number 10, and we have 3 buildings on Kefi Street? How do I sit at number 10, but the employee is at number 16 and number 18 on an 8 to 5 daily basis, working with, what's your name? Okpayemi, working with Okpayemi, and I am responsible for Gloria not leaving Okpayemi. How does that work? The one I talked about, the experience of the last 4 or 5 weeks, if that individual candidate eventually spoke with Victor after about 2 hours of waiting, and he gets an offer letter and says, I'm not joining that organization because they kept me waiting for how many hours? 2 hours. Is that the problem of HR? No. The best we can do, the best we should do, the best we must always do is that we must work with line managers to explain to them the implication of the experience they give to either candidates or to employees. So I'm saying that let's take 2 or 3 steps back from before the individual joins the organization, the candidate experience starts from there. Somebody in this room, looking at me right now, said to me 3 or 4 days ago that, Yemi, did I do the right thing? I said, what did you do? He said, this candidate came to me, and I asked the first question. He was rambling. I asked the second question. It was, I just closed the interview. Was that right or wrong? Was right. Was that right? First question, the candidate wasn't getting it. Second question, the candidate still wasn't getting it. You just close the interview and then end of interview. Was that right? Was that wrong? What would you have done?
I would have given him feedback on the spot, and I would have said, okay, you're rambling, or you're not being concise, and for the next 50, we only have 30 minutes, I would like you to be a little bit more concise and specific. He should be able to take the feedback.
Okay, so the feedback is that you're not saying go away, you're not the right candidate. You are saying that you give a chance. Because, I mean, don't we all have butterfly? HR people tend to forget that we also go for interviews. Don't we also go for interviews? Do you feel that butterfly in your tummy? Do you ramble for the first 5 minutes at times? Yes, we do. So I think it's our job to calm the nerves of the candidate at those moments and try to help them be them. Rather than saying, I don't think this is the right candidate, it's just he or she's just rambling. Again, the experience continues at that point. And we might just lose talent. I'm not sure about you, but talents are getting more and more difficult to find in the workspace, right? Do we have many people applying for jobs? By all means. But do we have many talents out there to come into the workspace? I don't think so. I mean, even from a communication standpoint, we are struggling. From a focus standpoint, in terms of what they want for the future, the millennials, trying to stay focused, we are struggling. So when we see good candidates, or when we see candidates, before we throw them away during the interview process, please, what kind of an experience are we giving them? Because at that point, we represent the organization. It's a bit of work. Somebody said we are pastor, we are parent, we are imam, we are guidance and counselor, we are everything. To not just employees, but to candidates. So at the point of attraction, at the point of recruitment, what sort of experience are we designing for employees to the point where they just don't come into the organization, but they come in switched on from the onset? And that's what we want. We want employees who are going to look at the rigor of going through the experience of interview, but they will be happy with that rigor. They'll be happy with the kind of organization they are working with. So that's the first point. At the point of attraction. Even before you do the interviews, like I said, what kind of advert are you putting out to attract candidates? Because candidates are beginning to evaluate the kind of experience they're going to have from the kind of advert that you publish. You are looking for, as at this morning on the WhatsApp group, somebody was looking for a specialist, and specialists should have 1 to 3 years experience. How does somebody become a specialist in 1 to 3 years? Do you see some adverts and you're shaking your head and saying, what's happening to HR? I mean, it's better for us to not put up some adverts, but the quality of the advert that I see these days is a bit alarming. And you know what? The social media language has crept into the official world. There is no longer that line of demarcation. Everybody is in a hurry to press the send button without reading through again. I mean, this morning somebody said, wanted to put up a case study in another group and said the organization was going through a restructuring and therefore some employees are going to be laid. What are they? Okay, so, and then rolled out the question. I said the first thing I want to say is that management should not lay employees. Who is in HRLC here? Nobody is in that group. This morning, because we missed out an important word, laid off. The quality of the communication they read out there begins to determine the quality of experience they will expect in our organization. And I'm very serious. Unless the candidates are not like candidates who are looking for good experiences in the organizations they want to work with. So when you're at the point of attracting them into the organization, please be careful the sort of quality of experience that you're giving to them. And when they're going through the interview process, also be careful about the experience they are getting. And now when they join the organization, what's the first thing you want them to do? You've given an offer letter. The offer letter, I want to believe, is detailed, good quality offer letter. What's the first thing you do when they come into the organization? What do you do to them? You onboard them, right? So many organizations are so digital in orientation today that when employees come day one into the business, they are ready to work, right? And I still know so many other organizations, when the employee comes in, they give them a chair, make them comfortable, tea, coffee, and everybody faces what everybody is doing, and they forget them for 3 or 4 hours. Has anybody seen that? Does it still happen in today's world? Yes, it still happens. And the guy is sipping tea and coffee and reading newspapers. After reading Punch and Guardian, nobody is still saying anything because HR people are running around for their own deliverables. And they have forgotten somebody who's coming to the organization, and the guy is thinking, wow, this is how they do here. And the guy is saying, maybe, I think I had plans for 2 years, 6 months, I'm out of here. Because of the quality of experience on day one. So that's where retention, for me, that's where retention starts. Retention of talent. It's at that point. Now, Canada is struggling with us, right? big time. Number one on my list in terms of attrition is Canada and US. There's a story of a whole department leaving an organization, about 8 people, and going off to Canada. But the point is, people don't just get up to take a decision one day to leave the organization. It is the quality of the interactions that they have on a daily basis, starting from before they join the organization and then day one when you onboard them. Think about it as a relationship, right? Think about it as going to dinner with somebody, and then for some ladies, the individual is not opening the door. For some, the individual is rushing off into the car. You begin to have conversations with yourself about what to expect from that relationship. It's the same thing with an organization. We tend to think that we're doing people a favor, a lot, HR people. We tend to think that way. We tend to hold on to power. I mean, I can hire and fire. But it is the quality of experience that we give to employees that will determine how long they're going to stay with that organization. So at onboarding, from today's Thursday. From Monday, when you get the next employee into the organization, please watch out for the quality of experience that you are designing around onboarding. And the good thing about it is that when you do it well, they'll tell other people. They'll tell one more person. If you are doing it well, they'll tell one person. But if you're not doing it well, how many people are they going to tell? About 100. About 100. That's how good products sell or bad products. If you do it very well, you get one more person. But if you do it very badly, you get about 100. What is the quality of experience that you're giving to employees around training? I'm just walking us through the employee life cycle, basically, and looking at the experience that we give to employees and the things that we can design. What is it like? I've got so many people telling me, Yemi, please, can I have your training plan for 2018? And I never send it. I don't send it out. Because the state of evolution of my organization cannot be the same as another organization, even if we are both investment bankers. It cannot be the same. Therefore, the quality of the training needed in one organization cannot be the same. But can I say that we tend to be a little lazy as HR people? We are always looking for templates. We are always, I'm having some very hard conversations today, right? After I've gone, you can abuse me, but I have the mic for now. The reality is that we love templates. How many people are in WhatsApp groups? How many times every day do you see, can I have a template for NHF? Can I have a payroll template? Some people are even asking for offer letter templates. And I'm thinking, how did they get into HR? Because we think that, I mean, if A sends to me, B sends to me, I can put it together and that's it. The evolution of our organization is not the same as other organizations. When I was in telco, there was a time we were looking at our policies. We were trying to review after I joined that organization, and we saw the name of another organization in several places in our policy. What is that called? Copy and paste. And then that is what you put on your intranet as your policies, or that is what you give to your employees as a handbook when they join. And then when they read, they are reading about, let me use names so that you won't know who I'm talking about. They're talking about Bank A, and then they see Bank B. In this bank, this is what we do. And you're thinking, what is the quality of individuals working in HR? Does it erode from the confidence the individual will have in the organization? Yes. So we're talking about training. Do we sit down with line managers? In all we're saying that the primary responsibility is with line managers, but HR has a role to play in hand-holding them to ensure that the individual employees get the best out of the organization. So do we sit with them and say, where do you think are the gaps in terms of training for your people? And therefore, for the first quarter or second quarter or third quarter, what are you going to do? And for the individuals in the organization as well, in those departments, do we sit with them and have those quality conversations with them? All they see is that you send something to them and you tell them 2 weeks from now, you are going to Yemi Faseun and Co. to go and do a training. And the guy looks at it and says, but this is not in my training plan. Do we link performance management back to training so that the individual realizes that you identified my gap in 2018, and in 2019 what you are doing is what? Trying to fill those gaps. I have never seen HR as isolated pillars of people management. There's a connection between everything that we do in human resources. The outcome of performance management for the employee should be that I'll get good reward, I may be promoted, I may go into projects so that I can be developed, or there will be training gaps identified so that I can fill those gaps. But when training is arbitrary or rule of the thumb, because we're not just doing what we need to do to give the employee some level of good experience, then it becomes, we just do it for the sake of doing it. But if you come to me and say, I mean, you need communication skills experience, because every time I want to say auntie, I say auntie, then I know that you're talking to me specifically, right? Because that was picked up in my performance appraisal. Or it could be technical skills. I'm in investment banking, I'm in debt solutions, and I don't know how to model. And therefore you say to me, quarter one, you're going to do modeling. And then I know that you're speaking to me and that my experience in this organization matters. Not everybody go for communication skills. And I'm thinking, that is not what I want. There's a controversial one around reward. It's so controversial, and I said I must say, what do you offer employees when they come into the organization? What is the role of HR in giving the employees some good experience and feel good factor at the point of coming in? Do we just slam them with any reward or remuneration, or do we talk to them specifically and carry them along? The reason so many people in today's world do not want to share their current salaries with prospective employees or employers is that this is being used against them. So I have a salary for a role, and it is going to be 10 million naira. And you ask me how much I'm earning right now, and I tell you it's 5 million naira. And what do? If I give you 7 or 8, you should be happy now. And you think you are making some savings for the organization. The individual is happy for 2 weeks when he or she gets into the organization, right? And then when he or she finds out that Taye is doing the same job, came in about 6 months before him or her, and then the salary is 12 million. If you are in that space, what will you do? Will you be happy? There is some element of engagement that flies away from the individual. Commitment reduces, loyalty to the organization zero, and that person is looking for the next job. However, from a reward perspective, I also do know that if you have a salary range rather than a salary for one role, then what the individual is earning right now can play a factor in how much you pay the individual. So there are two scenarios, and this is an ongoing conversation. Two scenarios: I am Bank Zenith, and I pay my managers 10 million. All managers, HR manager, operations manager, compliance, everybody on that grade earns 10 million. So if anybody is coming to my bank, whatever you are earning, you are going to come earn 10 million, right? But there's another bank, FBN Quest Merchant Bank. If you're coming as a manager, there's a salary range. And I'm just giving you an example. Don't go and say this is my salary range. There's a salary range of about 8 to 15 million, right? So I need to have an idea of how much I'm going to give you if you come into my organization. So I'm asking you, how much do you earn right now? How much do you want to earn? And you say to me, you're earning 4 million. Believe me, you are not going to earn less than 8 million, which is the minimum of the salary range for a manager grade. And if you come into the organization, therefore, maybe Sunday you go give a testimony in church, and then on Monday you come and say, oh, it's 8 million naira now. I'll be transparent to tell you that I did not give you lower than the minimum of that range. And therefore the individual relaxes. But there's an attack on the HR community right now that we use current salary ranges to suppress people in terms of remuneration, and I don't think it's fair. It's not good candidate or employee experience. So, the summary of all I'm saying is that if you walk through the employee life cycle around human resources function, the employee experience that we give to employees is not something that we have a total control over. I do not work with 150 people who might be in a particular region. So the talent attraction and retention cannot be my responsibility. But I have a role to play in working with the line manager who has that responsibility to design good employee experience to the point that they are not just advocates for the organization, but they become loyalists, even after they will have gone. I mean, I left a salad about 2.5 years ago. I don't think I'll trade off my SIM for another number. I don't think so. Because, I mean, I thought before I left that I had good experience in that organization. And I know some people, when they leave one organization, whatever product they are using in that organization, they do what? They just throw it away. They don't want to be associated with that organization anymore. It's a shared responsibility between line managers and HR people. And please, let me tell you this. The question that might be in your mind, but Yemi, if we continue to talk to these line managers and they don't listen to us, then how is that my responsibility? And my response to that is this. The quality of the conversations you have with line managers, leadership, exco, your own line managers on a daily, weekly, monthly basis will determine how far they will trust you in your advisory capacity going forward. If you've told them once or twice about something that didn't work, are they going to trust you further for any other thing? But if you know that you are abreast of issues, if they know that you will not give them advice that will lead to talent attrition, then they can trust us and say, oh, go speak to HR, go speak to Yemi, go speak to Taiwo. He'll be able to tell you what to do so that we continue to retain talent. So retention sits primarily in the space of HR and line managers, but please, HR people, the primary responsibility for employee experience is not ours. It's for line managers. The only thing we owe line managers is to continue to help them along the lines of people management capabilities. To continue to help them around leadership, because this is where people begin to lose it. If leadership is not right, then we will lose people. The primary reason individuals leave organization is not money, is not pay. But pay becomes important when they're not getting the right experience within the organization and they step out and they realize that they can actually get 1.5 of what they are getting. And then when they tell us during exit interviews, how much are you earning right now, or they are friends, and you realize that they're getting 150%, everybody begins to think that it's the pay that's pushing them out. I do not agree. With the benefit of state interviews that I have done, pay becomes important only when employees don't get good experience on a day-to-day in the organization. So I'll leave you with that charge to say, guys, we have a role to play in designing good and great employee experience, but our responsibility lies in working with line managers to make sure that talent are not leaving our organizations because of the bad experiences they get on a daily basis. Thank you very much. Questions? Can I take questions? I can take questions. Okay. Any question? You have a question? All right.
Thank you very much. I had one experience and I want to share and I need your advice. Okay. There was a time we are not into oil and gas. So we now got one project in oil and gas. Knowing fully well that our salary, you cannot compare it with oil and gas. So I wanted to recruit a QC engineer.
Okay.
And I know he has experience in oil and gas. He has been taking a huge amount of salary. And I call it, but that very moment, he's not having anything. So I asked him, how much are you going to take for this role? He said 800,000. I said, not bad. Come, we are a subcontractor to this oil and gas project. We don't have this money. We can pay 400,000. I said, I will try. I called the line manager. Please call. This guy, he behaved somehow. And I'm sure this guy will not last. Why can't you talk to him? If he's okay with his 400,000 without complaint. But else, let's look for somebody that can work, do this job. He said, no, you have to just go. Anything. But the management said the maximum we can go is 400,000. And as a good HR, you don't expect me to now give all the 400,000. Yes, because I want to, let me prove myself, maybe to pay 380. Because they told me this is maximum, but don't go beyond the maximum. It got to a stage, I said, okay, I will pay you the 400,000. And I told the management, if you try to lose this guy, and this role is on emergency note, he said, no problem. Could you believe this guy, we recruited the guy, he collected the offer letter from me, and I will come back tomorrow. I don't understand. Sign, just acknowledge and go.
Has he come back?
The guy resumed.
Okay.
After he resumed, he spent just a week. The guy absconded.
Okay, so what's the question?
The question now is, who is to be blamed?
Who's to be blamed?
The line manager, the management, and the HR.
Everybody. It's a simple thing. If you see anybody who's earning 800,000 naira and wants to take 50% of that, something is wrong somewhere. Clearly something is wrong. You want to say something? I know the time is up, but this is an interesting one.
It's a key role. And if you want to survive in that project, you need to pay the guy well.
Okay, so what I think is this. I think that the job evaluation, which is what we don't do a bit in this market, something must have been wrong with the job evaluation of the role. And job evaluation leads to what we pay for the role, right? So what you need to do, if you have not, is to reevaluate that job. If you're not getting individuals who are going to take 400,000 naira as a max for the role, that means you're not attracting the right sort of people from the market, and therefore the job, you're probably looking at the mirror in terms of what you can pay. What you need to do is to look out of the window and see what the market is paying, and therefore relate what you are paying with the market. Okay? All right, thanks. Any other? Okay, thank you. Thanks very much. Again, I apologize that I came very late, but it's been a nice time with you. Thanks very much. Yeah, how are you?